and welcome to an ETTO spoiler cast about the 3 Doctor Who specials for the 60th. I'm Will.
And I'm Sam.
And there are full spoilers ahead, so please make sure you've watched them all before you're listening and watching along. Before we get into the nitty and gritty, Sam, what did you think overall? How'd you feel? Is Doctor Who back? Is Russell back?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think we've still got a huge area where it's like we're about to just leap into a whole new era. So it's like it's back, but then it's also going to change again, like a lot.
Yeah.
So what we kind of, I guess, got comfortable with for these 3 specials will very much be a whole new thing once Shooty comes into it and once his season starts. But no, overall, really, like I enjoyed it. Like I think with a lot of things, I'm a simple man. Like if you put something in front of me that is entertaining, especially a show like this where you can't really take it too seriously, it was fine. It was fine. Yeah.
It's interesting because I think after the first episode, I was really not sure. I really wasn't sure where we were headed, but it definitely feels like it needed all 3 to feel good. Like as a whole, I think the 3 specials function really well, and like there's I think the first is now the less of the 3. I think it literally is a ramp up. I think for me it goes 1, 2, 3, like bottom to top.
Right.
But like I think it stuck the landing. I think we've really got to wait for the full series to see if Russell can do it, if he can make another run of the show. Because this banked hard on David and Catherine, and I think that's the biggest thing for me with these 3 specials is every now and then, I think we talked about it after the first one, every now and then I'm like, were they good? Did anything actually happen, or was it just 3 hours of them being back? Because every now and then, like, I try and boil down what the stories were, and I'm like, there wasn't much of a story for each of them. Like, the first one, I think, was the closest to being an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
In having bad guys invade, an alien, big climax. The second one, which we should talk about quite a bit, but it kind of... It's a little bit midnight, a little bit of that, but it doesn't commit to anything, and I don't think actually builds to anything good.
Yeah.
And then the third one, it just kind of has moments until he regenerates, and then the episode's over. Like, they don't really feel like episodes in the way that like a story is constructed. They're all 3 of them just have cool moments and then they're over. And I think being David and Catherine, that's what strings it together and makes it feel great. But I don't know if these 3 had been Shooty and Millie Gibson's first episodes, it'd probably be shit. Be like, the fuck was that? But having them back, I think, did a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah, cool. No, because like for me, I'm very much in agreement with a lot of that. For me, I think my favourite episode is the Star Beast. Yep. And then it would go The Giggle and then Wild Blue Yonder for me, I think. Because, I very much agree. Like, the first episode, the Star Beast was very much like a classic like Doctor Who adventure. Like, it felt like that. And I think it was just a very exciting thing because we were seeing these actors and characters back for the first time in 15 years. Yep. So it was like, well, for some. So I think a lot of that added to that excitement and that hype, obviously. Yep. And we had spoken about how, if this was anyone else, would we still have enjoyed it as much? And that was very much in the back of my head throughout the entirety of the 3 long weeks we had to watch these specials. But then, and then I feel like the second episode... was kind of just there to kind of milk the fact that they had these people back. Kind of, because, like you said, it didn't really build anything. It had some really cool moments, but I don't think as it, like, for it being a 3-episode sort of, like, special anniversary thing, it's like that second one doesn't really amount to much. No. And I think the biggest... kind of let down, I guess, for me was that there wasn't a lot of references through the entirety of the 3 specials to the past few years of Doctor Who and the entire history of the show. Given that it's for, the anniversary. We do get moments and hints of things, but I think comparing it to the 50th, I think the 50th was a great example of like this show just coming together and bringing together so many aspects of so many years of TV. Whereas I feel like the 3 specials here for the 60th brought together all the best things for one series of Doctor Who.
Kind of, yeah.
And that was kind of it.
Yeah, totally. I think I ended up agreeing with you. I think in the first episode, you were like, "Well, they can't all be the 50th," and I think I think that is true. I think that Russell is just awful at setting expectations up. And I think that's the biggest thing with all of these, is that he definitely was like, it's going to be a celebration of the show in its entirety. And it really was Series 4 and the end of time are the kind of only things that it referenced. Like, it brought back classic companions, it brought back comic book characters in the Star Beast and stuff like that, but it was incidental things, and it was, like we'll get to, it is 3 specials as a love letter to David Tennant, not as a love letter to Doctor Who.
Yeah, for sure. And, like, I think it's a thing where, even though I said, like, you know, not every special can be what they did for the 50th, but, I was saying that with the thought in my head of, well, like, they're going to get to that in the next 2 episodes, aren't they?
No.
But then by the end of it, I was very much like, they didn't really do anything, did they?
Yeah.
But so...
Yeah, it's tricky. If you want our full thoughts on the Star Beast, you can check out the full podcast on that. But the 2 episodes we haven't talked about are Wild Blue Yonder and The Giggle.
Yes.
Wild Blue Yonder started in a really cool place, and I was kind of excited for maybe a fun adventure with the Doctor and Donna when they met Mavity Man. And I hope that stays forever. I hope Mavity is an ongoing gag. Yeah. that stops being a gag. It starts just being the word for gravity.
The norm. Yeah.
I thought that was really sweet and like kind of the only fun David and Catherine got to have, because as much as like this episode is the like they get to be serious and it's like they never actually have fun in this 3 specials, which I guess is maybe the arc they're going on, but I kind of it felt like if Andrew Garfield came back to No Way Home and was just sad the full 40 minutes, it's like that sucked. Whereas in that he has his moment with MJ, but most of the time he's the fun one, and the same for Toby. They let Tom, the new guy, be the sad one. I just felt like I kind of wanted them to bounce off each other a little bit more, and most of the time they're just like, life's hard.
Yeah, for sure. I do think that, like that first like 2 minutes of that episode is like the best example of those two in the TARDIS just having fun.
Yeah.
Because it was also like, I love the moments like that in this show where it's a candid moment, but obviously not, because it's like obviously planned.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a candid moment in the sense that like, those are just the random things that can happen to them while they are out seeing the universe. Like, and I loved that.
Yeah.
And I think my most like favorite thing about that scene though was that they were doing the thing that you were talking about after the Star Beast, where they're adding that depth to the TARDIS when the doors open. Every time that happened in the show, I was like, oh my God, thank you so much.
And we've seen a little bit of it in like trailers for Shooty and stuff. I'm like, yes. Yes, parallax.
But, like it was the perfect storm for me, that first small moment.
Yeah.
And then seeing it be a little gag that sort of got pushed through the episode was nice as well.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the episode isn't that cheerful, is it?
No, not particularly. They land on a spaceship with nothing going on apart from a little robot, and then they obviously meet the Nobodies, which was a really cool idea. It's obviously leaning heavily on like midnight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Like, it's definitely, again, it's a celebration of Series 4. It's what that series did well with that episode. My big problem with the episode, apart from it kind of feeling a little bit like it just repeats itself because it doesn't have anything else to do, is that the Doctor's like, the TARDIS dropped us here, there's a hostile thing, it left because it can't be here. And the whole thing about the TARDIS is it always takes him where he needs to go. Like, that's the thing. If they didn't end up there, the ship would still blow up. And those aliens would still blow up. Would still die.
There'd be no threat.
Yeah.
They would still die.
It's like, it's one of those weird ones where, like, I guess you could take it that, oh no, the Doctor's there, and oh no, he has to make sure it happens. But in this situation, they didn't have bodies. There was no way for them to stop the robot. So no matter what, it was always going to blow. He made it worse, which is like, and the biggest problem with this episode is it being in the middle of 2 specials where Catherine Tate is not going to die. If this was episode 8 of series 14 or season 1 now, I guess, then it would have been like, oh, as much as it's like an eventuality, the actual issue here, or the actual drama here, is that the Doctor arrived, he has to make it happen, and Ruby died because of it. Like, that would have been amazing and huge, but in this situation, there's no stakes that Donna's going to die here because you just saved her, like, an hour ago. You're not going to kill her now.
Well, because, like, it's also a thing where we've seen footage of her for the 3rd episode. We know she's, like, alive and well. I'm sure people can make the argument, oh yeah, but that could have been the bad Donna. And it's like, yeah, but she wouldn't be actively helping the Doctor in trailers if it was a bad Donna. You know, that thing would be out trying to kill anyone that came across it.
Which could have been cool if they'd done it, but I don't. But there was no bone in my body that was like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like, it was still a great moment. It was a great sort of like, you know, for example, if you were someone that had watched none of the marketing material for these specials, it would have been a moment. It would have been a moment where you were just like, oh shit, like, is he about to leave her? And I think it was a really powerful thing as well to see, like, that reaction from her being like, you've left me, like, you've chosen the wrong one. Like, seeing her freak out about that while the TARDIS just fades away. Like, there is a moment where you're like, oh shit, like, that's actually massive.
And then Murray Gold comes in with, like, a sad version of her theme. Like,
yeah, totally.
It's just playing the notes slowly. Fuck, we'll talk about him later. Like, you know, totally, they build the moment right. Yeah. But it is, like, just amongst what should be a celebration of the show, it feels like a strange beat to be like, oh, we killed a companion. It's like, well, why, that's not... Like, it's like if Dave the Doctor in halfway through killed Clara, it's like, well, that's not a good thing to do in the happy special. No, not at all. It was a choice, and it was, you know, all 3 of these are kind of just like the palette of Russell T Davies, and he's back and he wants to show that he can do the things. So I get it. I get it. But
I do think though that it would have been a better episode for Shooty. I think they could have done some really cool stuff with it.
Totally.
Because it does, like, you know, it doesn't add anything to each episode on either side of it. It's just kind of there as its own thing.
Yeah.
So
the salt, very Sam, much the salt.
Oh yeah. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so yeah, I think it would have been a really good episode for Shooty to do, just to show off, like, the range he has as an actor.
Totally.
Because I know he's got, like, a really good range about him, and I'm really keen to see that in his era of the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it was a good episode, but I think it could have been utilized better if put within, like, a full season, rather than within 3 specials.
And if it had to live here, I think it's crazy because it's the one that they could have pulled out the stops to have previous actors and shit, because you've got a creature that is reading memories and seeing things. Why wouldn't they turn into characters of old to taunt the Doctor and to do stuff? And, you know, that's where Matt could have turned up, and where, not Capaldi, he's never coming in, but...
Yeah. No, well, because I think that could have also added more of a, like, thriller element to the episode as well, because, you know, you've got these characters and they're going crazy on a ship trying to figure out what's going on, blah blah blah, and they're getting tormented and terrified by alien versions of themselves. I think it would have really driven the sort of chaos of it if it was like all of a sudden there's, you know, like there's a Rose that shows up, or there's a Clara that shows up.
Yeah.
Or, you know, there's characters that you wouldn't even think would show up, and they're all of a sudden there. Like, maybe there's like a Cyberman in the hallway, and it's like, if they were doing stuff like that, it could have really been a thing where it's like, no, this is like mentally screwing them up, and they're gonna leave here like really being not okay.
Totally.
Like, I think something like that would have been a really, like, a powerful thing to do. And I mean, like, again, like what you were saying, after you watch it, it's kind of like, that's what you could have done. Yeah. But you didn't.
Like, and my biggest thing that I think, if they weren't, because they were never going to kill Donna, I think the end of this episode should have been cut in a way where it's ambiguous. Like, we as the audience know that she didn't die. Like, we know that he's got the good one, but I think that he shouldn't have come back. Like, he should have taken one and been, like, so sure in his mind, because why wouldn't the Doctor know? Of course the Doctor knows which one it is. Like, he shouldn't be confused by that. In the context of the episode, it's so that there is the hero moment, but I think it would have been way more, like, tense and what the fuck if he left the other Donna and we never knew which one was which. For sure. And we just moved on. Like, that would have been a way cooler ending than kind of the safety that they ended up with. But
because it could have also been a thing where, if that was the case, this creature could have acted as Donna throughout the rest of the specials and acted like human. And then it could have been a villain to come back for Shooty's era. Whereas, like, all of a sudden, this creature's like, well, now that... Well, I mean... I guess not, because of what happens at the end of the third episode. But you know what I mean.
Totally.
Like, they could have set something up like for it to be like a long running thing, I guess. If they wanted to.
Yeah, but no. Bang, dead. Hello, sorry. I just remembered I forgot to talk about my my theory for what they should have done for this episode, / what I thought they were going to do for this episode when I first started seeing promo and stuff. So, basically, imagine what we had. TARDIS crash lands. They're like, what's going on? Door opens. Matt Smith, Karen Gillan, maybe Arthur Darvill if he's feeling like it, walk in. And they're like, what's happening? David's like, I don't remember this happening to me, but I guess there's some weird timey stuff where I wasn't able to. And so Matt, Karen, David, Catherine work together for a little while, and then slowly but surely something's off about the other two, and it turns out that they're a creature. I thought that was going to be the episode before we knew that it was about the nobodies, because of course they held on to that for so long. So I'm just saying, I was pretty close, and I think my episode would have been a little bit cooler. Not just because Matt Smith's in it. Anyway, I'm going to go back to the TARDIS and let them keep talking. Bye-bye. Have a good one. Merry Christmas. We also get to see Bernard Crivens, which is very, very sweet. And, like, I knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming. Yeah. But watching it as it played out, I teared up. Like,
it was so nice.
There was no way that I wasn't going to cry. And like... Yeah. I think even if he was still alive, it would have got me.
Oh, for sure.
It's such a beautiful moment.
Absolutely. And just seeing his excitement when they land and they walk out of the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And David's like just got his head out a little bit. He's like, hello, old soldier.
Oh, so
it's
good.
Just, it's so nice. It's so good.
Yeah. And to set him up as being the what he always is, which is the guy that waits and watches, and he defends the Earth from those aliens.
Absolutely.
Which was sweet. And then we don't get any more of him. That's all they were able to film.
Yeah.
There's a body double at the start of the next step, and then they use a bit of dialogue from The Poison Sky, which it sucked how much we love this show, because as soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh, I've heard that. That's
yeah.
I've heard that before.
I was really, really hoping they would have gotten him in a scene in the TARDIS. Like, I think that would have been really cool.
Totally.
But obviously they couldn't. But I think, I think it would have just been really nice to see him in that room again for the last time. But
totally.
But look, you have to with these sort of things, you can only take what you can get, and I think what we got was really, really nice. And I think it was a great sort of like a send-off to him as an actor and as a character as well.
Totally.
So,
It's very special. But Wild Blue Yonder, it's fine. I think I liked it a little bit more than the Star Beast, just because it didn't have to do so much of that heavy lifting of fixing things that the Star Beast did, like the Dr. Donner stuff. And I liked it being a clean in of just an episode, but I think the placement in here was a very strange choice. I think it belongs somewhere else. A great story for another time.
Yeah, for sure.
But the giggle, which sees the return of the toy maker, and that's about it. That's literally all about. Well, he also puts Stuggy Bill, which is a real thing. That is a real character.
Actually, because I was going to talk about that, because I was saying, because I was watching this with my partner, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if like this is actually very accurate to the first image on TV, because I know that in Doctor Who they love to add real world events into the show to give a bit of like a twist. And then I googled it and I was like, Oh,
it's just it.
It's just it.
I know. It's like when I watched The Crown. Dad was just sitting there, and every beat of the kind of filming and it burning, he's like, "Yep."
He's like,
okay, fucking shut up. But it's very funny. I knew in real time that it was accurate because Dad was giving it the nod of approval.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
But it was cool. It was a cool opening to this. Here's my thing. I think that The Power of the Doctor, which was Jodie's final, and this should have swapped stories. I think that because I didn't really, it's not really addressed much in The Power of the Doctor, but The Power of the Doctor is the 100th anniversary of television, of BBC television.
Right.
So the story all about inserting something into the birth of television, that's probably the one that you've put there. And then the story that brings back classic companions, brings back the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Master, has a moment where the Doctors split regeneration into a separate body. All of that, probably The Power of the Doctor is the better 60th anniversary story.
Probably.
Like, I like both. I actually quite like The Power of the Doctor, and I think that was a fun episode, and I'm happy they both exist, but I did find it very funny that the episode celebrating Doctor Who was for the television, and the episode about the television is the one celebrating Doctor Who. It's a strange note. But I liked it, and I just wished that they kind of stuck more to it, because it's kind of this introductory beat, and then the initial panic of humans have gotten silly because of television, and then nothing else really comes of it. They just move past it.
It kind of just like floats by. And I think Neil Patrick Harris was great. Because I used to love him in How I Met Your Mother. I think he was great in that, and I just know that as an actor he's very good. And he's also, like, in real life, into magic and cars and all that, so it was great that he got to show off a bit of his skills.
But they kept cutting around it.
They did,
he would do half a trick, and then they would cut to David. I'm like, no, he's doing it. Stop cutting away.
They would also do a close-up that would make it look like it was another double or something doing it. It's like, no, show his face in the same thing so we know he can do that.
It was so strange.
Yeah, but I think he was very good. I think he played the Toymaker great. The best thing he did was like the changing of accents and stuff. Like that was just like I was watching him and I was like, this guy's just doing it like seamlessly. Like this is amazing. And then so I think he did very well. But I think the character in this story was very like underutilized. I didn't feel like he was much of a threat. Because he really just turns some, I think were they the bullets? He turns all their bullets into roses. And then just sits in the laser beam gun for a bit, and that's it.
Yeah, but you missed the line where he also turns the unit guards into balls. And they seem alive still, and then the Doctor goes, "They're dead. I'm sorry." It's like, what the fuck? You can't fix that. You can give a woman a lollipop that cures cancer in the Almost People. Don't forget that. Me again. It was like a small vial of something, and it was for a blood clot. But still, that feels weird. But you can't turn a person back into a human from a ball? Fuck off.
Unreal. But yeah, like that, like. That was like, and like that was a really fun moment.
I love that scene. As much as
going off.
And like, because I think that is the closest they come to giving him threat, because it is the perfect Doctor Who balance of silly song whilst he's doing the impossible, because they've set it up that he has no law. He can break the laws of the universe and do anything, and that's why he's turning petals and he's making people into balls. But that's the only time we see that, and there are so many people still alive. It's like he's just having fun. Like I really, because I've watched what exists of the Celestial Toymaker, and in that there are some wacky stuff that happens, but he's never really presented as this being of immense power and stuff. And so in this they set up that he is from a plane of existence, that the playroom or whatever, where he can do whatever he wants, and now he's in our world. And I'm like, that's crazy, that's really cool. But he never really does anything, and then they pack him away. I guess they kind of pack him away for another day, but
flat pack him away.
They flat pack him away, which is pretty cool.
It was it was a cool little effect. I think this comes down to like the hype around it as well. Like I was just expecting there to be way more of a threat. Totally. Everyone thinks that they're right. Like You know, because like it was still obviously a very concerning thing for them in the episode, but I don't think it had the impact they were hoping for on some of the audience. Because I was just kind of sitting there and I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool, sweet,
totally. And what's the resolution? They blow up a satellite. That was the resolution.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was they blow up a satellite, but then did that. I think that still didn't fix it. It wasn't until the toy maker was in the box.
That's right.
Because that was when they took off their armbands. And they're like, we're all good now.
Yeah.
So I was like, you just blew up a satellite for nothing.
Yeah.
But
they provoked South Korea because of that.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like a bad idea. Like, when she's like,
war?
please, doctor, please tell me I could blow up a South Korean satellite. And he's like, you can. She's like, oh, thank you. I'm like, a very cool moment because, you know, it harkens back to the Capaldi era of him being the president of Earth. And so he has the final say when no one can, which is a really cool moment.
Yeah, no, I did like that. I like how he was like, you have my permission.
Yeah.
And then I sort of like went with it.
Yeah.
I did love though that Unit had was it the Flinks or something? It was called?
He was so cool.
He was like, I just love they had this like robotic alien in the corner of the room just calling the shots and helping them out with
and no one questions it.
No. Like but I think that's what's so great about it, because it's as though he's been there for so long that no one even cares. They're just like, they'll ask him random facts about things and he'll just answer them. So I thought that was really cool.
That's going to look great in the spin-off show.
Oh, for sure.
That's the reason he is there.
Absolutely. But yeah, so then so we see all that stuff with the toy maker. He caused some trouble, makes some rose petals fall.
Yeah.
And then they go out onto the helipad with the laser beam, where he then shoots the Doctor in the chest.
He does.
And it was a pretty cool moment of Donna and Mel kind of being like, well, we're going to be with you this time so that you're not alone, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then David, of course, lets out a, here we go again. Yeah. And I was just like, if I could have put a bet on at the local TAB for that, we would have been golden.
Yeah, all the lines, because he has a few little callbacks.
Yeah. But I thought that whole moment was really nice. Like, even though it's not the regen that we were expecting, I think that still he did that with such like class.
Totally,
and it was really, really nice.
I got shivered. Like, I think obviously, it was a bigger moment in The End of Time when he was actually going and all that kind of... But I think I had almost the same level of emotion just because over these three specials, I think he really... He not only was like, oh yeah, that's right, David Tennant's great, he also created a new Doctor, which was so special. Like, obviously, there were a lot of shades of the 10th Doctor in there because it's the same face. He's kind of got the same persona, but there was so much of the other Doctors. Like, it was so clear that it was a Doctor that had been Matt Smith, Capaldi, and Jodie. Like, the first episode, he kind of has the youth and the bounciness that Jodie always had, the pointing stuff out, and which was really wonderful. And then the second one, there was a lot of Matt in kind of the darker shades that he had, and when he, like, grabs Donna's hand and is like, you're going to be okay, and kisses it. I'm like, that's Matt's era.
That's very true.
There's a lot of Matt Smith. David's Doctor was very much always just like, we're here. Obviously he had the romance, but it was a lot more just like showmanship to it.
Yeah.
Whereas Matt was a lot more personal with his companions. So there was that moment. And then just anytime he felt serious and in charge, there was a bit of Capaldi as well. And so I as much as, like, you know, it's David Tennant back, of course he's going to be great. I really appreciated what he did with his time in the show, and I was kind of... I was sad to lose him, because I think the 14th Doctor now sits with, like, Capaldi in terms of, like, this is Doctor Who. This is the ageless, the kind of wisdom character. And so I was feeling it when he was having his moment. And the soft glow was coming in.
Yeah,
and,
it was pretty good.
It will never look as good as Jodie. I think Jodie's regen with the veins in the face will forever be the best look that a regen's had.
And I think it's a great look as well, because it's also very, like, realistic and accurate to if... Like, I mean, obviously, we don't know what someone will go through with that, but it's... Because it's the same thing with a few of the movies that involve the Superman heat vision.
Yeah.
Lately, they've been adding like the veins behind the eyes and stuff. And
yes.
It's like if you were having that much of like an intent glow coming out of that area, same way like if you put a torch to your palm,
totally,
on the other side you're going to be able to see like your veins and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's very like realistic to how light acts around skin and veins and all that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And like I love that. I think the more realistic they can go with that sort of stuff, I think the better it will look as well.
Yeah.
Because it's very small things like that you don't really pay attention to, but the human eye is like, no, but that's what we see.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. And then, not your normal regen.
No.
He asked them both to pull, which I was just kind of like, I feel like they're gonna pull.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like it's gonna happen. Because we both had a feeling that it wasn't gonna be a normal regen.
Totally. Yeah.
And I think getting closer to this moment, I was kind of like, nah,
he's not going.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we obviously see Shooty get pulled out of David.
Yeah.
So far, Shooty is doing great. I thought he was a
insane
great bit of fun.
Like I'm gonna sneeze. Hang on, and I'll turn into Peter Capaldi. Oh no, I stopped it. It's like the real regen. That's fucking weird. It'll come back later. But because like the thing has always been my fear of putting Shooty straight after David was like, how do you fucking do that? How do you step up to the plate after? Yeah. But to not only put him next, like not only to put him after, but put him next to him, was just like amazing. And because instantly he feels right, and he feels in power. Like he's above David in like every scene he's in.
Yeah, like he seems very, very sure of himself as a person. Yeah, which is great. And because even when they are like mid regen, and he's kind of like, "You're me," and Shooty's like, No, I'm me.
I'm me.
It's like I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then yes, now you've got two doctors.
Two doctors.
I need clarification of.
Please.
Because I was really, really lost.
Yep.
When, like, even when they tried, yeah, because even when they tried to explain it in the episode, I was like, I don't get it, because they mentioned the whole "I'm me" once you've recovered from all the shit we've been through, and once you've looked after yourself and gotten through your trauma.
Yep.
And then they mentioned the whole "we're doing the rehab thing, but just out of order."
Yep.
So because I saw a thing online saying that once the 14th Doctor is sure of himself, and when he's dealt with all of his trauma and his pain and all that sort of stuff, he's then going to pretty much vanish or go back to that point of the bi-generation that they called it. And then Shooty will be like the standalone incarnation of the character. I don't know if that's true. Yeah. That's just what was on the internet.
Totally. I've seen a lot of that. I think I don't like that one.
Yeah, okay.
Because, like, for me, that feels... I don't know.
It feels complicated.
Yeah, it feels like it actually complicates it more than just saying they split. And in that moment... Because the other thing that I think a lot of people forget about this is that because of the Toymaker, the laws of the universe were broken. And anything could happen. Anything could happen in this moment. And so, for me, they've split. And Shooty is the 15th Doctor. Tennant is the 14th Doctor. But the one that's left now is the Curator. And that Tennant, because it just feels right to be like... Tom Baker says, we'll revisit the old faces. It just feels right for the first face to revisit as 10. And then this is the human Doctor that lives on and becomes the Curator.
Right.
And so... The like doing rehab backwards and him being all that, I think it's just a matter of time is not a circle, and that he is going on this journey, and those changes kind of just reverberate through time. And because Shooty is the next one in the correct flow of time, he's the next one. He has all those changes that Tennant experiences before he regenerates or whatever, or dies. Even if he dies at the end of this face and the Curator thing isn't a thing. At his death, all those learnings and teachings just reverberate through time and are with Shooty when he became that Doctor. Because I've heard the one that it's like, you know, at some point, like, I don't know, I've heard a lot of people that say that, like, Tennant fades away, and then at that point, that's him being born again at that point in time, and that's why Ncuti. But I just don't. That for me takes away from Ncuti, to say that Tennant has to go through things for his doctor to function right. Right. I quite like the idea that his doctor's just born in that way and is just confident and is just a different doctor because the other read is that in that moment they split emotionally and that Ncuti carries on without baggage and Tennant takes it and works on it, which I think is also fine. My last one is that I also just think it's all metaphorical and that what we see is just a beautiful metaphorical version of regeneration that we've not seen before. Ncuti moving on without the baggage is just because the next season is season 1 and they want to reboot.
Yes.
And so what we're seeing is the death of the Doctor that we've followed for all this time, and that Doctor is retiring, and that season 1 exists for new people to jump on, for everyone to see a Doctor that isn't thinking about the Time War, he's not thinking about the Flux, he's not thinking about all the companions he's lost, he's brand new, and so this is just Russell's way of showing and saying to the audience that your Doctor is having a rest, and that we're moving on without the baggage, and for me that's why I can let it happen, and because I don't think we're ever going to see this again. We're not going to see a bi-generation again. This is a very unique situation, and I think that's for me why this is a beautiful moment of Doctor Who getting weird and getting metaphorical and getting strange, and not everything needs to make sense in a science fiction fantasy show. I don't know. That's my read on it, is that it's none of the regeneration happened. And we just saw a special weird version of it. In the real world, in the normal flow of time, the Doctor turned into Ncuti. Ncuti challenged the toy maker and put him in a box and moved on. That's what actually happened. But I don't know. That was kind of how I took it.
No, well, because you have kind of answered my question, because I was going to ask you how do you think this is going to affect the lore of the show going forward? Because my main thing is it's going to be a thing now where you have got two versions of the character coexisting and not in the case that it's one got sent to another universe and a different
just
time
there.
whatever. It's they're just there. They are coexisting in the same universe, same timeline together. It's all there. And then more to the point that they both get their own TARDIS in the end. So it's I feel like they won't do anything with it, but it's always going to be that thing where it's you've created this aspect of the show where you've got a different version of the character just coexisting that people throughout in time now are going to be well,
where is he?
Where are they? Can they come back now? What are they doing?
Totally.
Have they added a new something to their house? Or what's going on?
Yeah, Russell's painted Doctor Who into the corner of the Marvel Universe, because up until this point there's been a Doctor, and it's in the Sam Raimi films there's only a Spider-Man, but once you put Spider-Man in the wider universe, why isn't the Avengers helping out with these battles and stuff? And I think he's done it, and it was a bold choice, but I think that people have to realise, in comic books, sometimes a character goes on a solo mission and no one helps, and it's not questioned, it's just how it exists. It's the case of Doctor Who fans that we always say some Doctor Who fans need to watch other literature and experience other fiction. Because as much as it is totally a question of why wouldn't David Tennant help, it's sometimes these things happen in fiction, and it's, I get it, it's because Doctor Who's been around for 60 years and they pull so much upon the past, but sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes you need to live within the story that's being created and not think about why doesn't that come back and why doesn't but continuity is one of the worst things to happen to franchise media. People needing things to connect and make sense. It's just exhausting, especially between eras. Totally within the Matt Smith era, everything should connect. But for me, as soon as a Doctor reboots or a regenerates or a showrunner changes, I don't care. The other thing is gone now. I want you to focus on the new era and tell new stories, and so it is a full-blown resting of David Tennant.
See, look, I wish I could have that mindset, really.
Yeah, I know.
But for me, just how my brain works, I'm always going to have it in the back of my head that there's this other version of him out there with his own TARDIS, like, and like I said, not in the way that he's in a different universe or timeline or whatever. Like, he's just there with his own house now, apparently. But yeah, I don't know. It was just, I think it's just going to take time to get used to for me, especially for something like as big as this, of like, it's a very law changing thing for the show. I'm hoping that there's some form of media, whether it be a comic book or a graphic novel, an audio book, whatever, where they explain it a little bit better, because I think I need it to be explained to me properly, like fed to me from the hand that made it, of like,
you don't want it from that hand. You don't want it from Russell T Davies. No. Someone else explain it, please.
Yeah, but like I would love a, like, for sure, here's what it means, this is what it did. I think once I get that, and I mean, look, if anyone who's watching this has some input, they even if it may not be like, this is what happened, but what they think happened, I'd love to know. Just because, I think for me, I need to, it may sound stupid, I need to be spoon-fed something sometimes. And I think in the sense of this, I really need something to be like, this is what it means. So once I get that, I'm sure I'll be a lot more okay with it. Not that I'm not okay with it. It's a very different thing to get used to in the show.
I don't want to know. I don't care. I like it being a dumb thing that happened once and I never have to see it again. But I totally get that read on it. I think a lot of people in the Discord are feeling the same. I think for me, the show being so awful for 6 years, like, I don't care.
Was it 6 years?
Well, she joined 20... It was probably not 6 years. It's close, probably, actually.
Yeah, probably close.
3... Yeah, it was like 2017. It's probably 6 years. Yeah. That's scary.
Shit.
Just being terrible for so long, and like, every episode just treading water and doing nothing. I think for me, that's why I don't care, because I'm just like, you did something, it was fun and weird, and I don't really care why. I just, I like that you took a swing. And I think, look, I want to quickly talk about Russell T Davies in general. I don't think he's very good now. I think he is a very, like, poor... Like, he tries so hard to, and I'm taking the swing, Sam. He tries so hard to represent the modern day and represent a lot of different people. And I think it's very, I appreciate that he tries to do it. I think he fails 90% of the time. Obviously, this is coming from a straight man, so grain of salt, I guess. But there is so much, the first episode is so much about the trans community and trans people, and I think that there are good elements of that, and I think that for my dad, who obviously doesn't see much trans people represented in media, I think it was awesome because he saw Rose and he understood, and the quick moment of Sylvia was awesome, but then he does other things where for the rest of that episode, from kind of the Sylvia scene onwards, Rose is there to be the person of the modern era saying, hey, what about the pronouns? Hey, what about this? And he strips Rose of any character of anything and just makes her the surrogate for the modern culture. And that's not good. As, people that hate trans people unfortunately exist. They're seeing a character that is forcing the narrative constantly, and that's not cool. She should have had agency as a character beyond those moments, and that's all down to Russell. That's not down to Yasmin Finley. That's down to his writing. And then there's the background of he gave Rose their dead name, their previous name, had a background of being that name means doctor and stuff, and it's like, dude, the point of the dead name is that it doesn't exist anymore. Don't overthink that. And there's moments throughout these specials that just feel like he's tripping over himself, trying to cater, and not cater, that's the wrong word, trying to represent. And I hope that he gets someone in the writer's room or something that helps him understand those moments better. Like someone that is actually part of the trans community, or someone's whatever communities he's trying to represent in the show. I hope he gets someone on their team. I worry not because I don't want to see it. I want to see it done right, and I don't know if Russell's ready to do that. I think he's maybe potentially stuck in 2008. And that for me is, there's just a few moments throughout the episodes where I appreciate the effort and the attempt, and not just in representation. I think story-wise, he tries to take big swings and is just not ready to do it, and just stumbles over things. It's like the moment in the door corridor thing in the toy maker's shop, and there's a great moment where Donna stops him and is like, you know, you got to calm down, bro. All you do is get angry. All you do is get stressed. Everything's good. Everything's sweet. All good. He then opens the door, shuts it behind him, and locks Donna in the corridor. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? What happened?
When I watched it the first time, because that entire sequence, I was like, they're gonna get split up somehow,
of course,
right? And then they had this really nice moment, and it wasn't until the second time I watched the episode I noticed how jarring it was, because they had this really nice moment that lasts for like nearly a solid minute, and then it cuts to them running through a door, the music picks up instantly, and then that door just gets shut behind them, and then it's chaos. And I was like, well, what? Like,
just poorly structured shit, man.
Like, what's happening?
It just, I really hope that it was just, he's get warmed up and the Shooty series is gonna feel structured. I fear that as much as we loved him 15 years ago, I don't know if he's the right fit for current Doctor Who medium, but we'll see. The Christmas special looks interesting and looks very Moffat, if
King
anything.
for the Goblin King.
Oh god, have you listened to the song?
Fuck yeah, I have.
You're probably one of those people that made it #1, you monster. It's pretty fun.
It's pretty fun.
I'm keen. They released a clip this morning as well of Shooty, and
that looks pretty good.
So good.
I saw that. It was very fun.
Ben brought it up on Twitter that it's Shooty running across a rooftop, not stopping, leaping over things, looking completely off
the most impressive thing, might I say. Like, because that is no easy feat.
No.
Like, that, because that was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, he's like full blown running and jumping over each little like
and not looking
thing and not looking
and
like,
saying
what's
lines.
happening here?
Yeah, I'm so excited. He like, we should talk about him because we do get a little bit of him as well. I'm so excited. Like, I don't like. Maybe it happens every time. I don't remember being this excited for Matt and Capaldi. Like, I remember being intrigued by Capaldi because he came in such a strange way. We were hopeful for Jodie, and Matt was full of energy, but I don't know if he didn't have a character yet. He was full of life and energy, which was a nice parallel to Tennant. Whereas Shooty is already the Doctor in such a strange and unique way. Like, he's in charge. He's got the youthful energy of Matt, but he's kind of determined and sharp like Eccleston, which I kind of wasn't expecting. He's got the sass and just like no shit, no bullshit kind of energy of Eccleston, which is really exciting. I'm in.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think what has helped us kind of get to that point in how we view him is just like the exposure we've had to him already.
Yes.
Like, we've already seen him in a portion of an episode. We've seen him in clips. We've seen him in marketing material. Whereas back in the day, there'd be a new actor coming in, and your biggest amount of exposure would be like them on the cover of the magazine,
Doctor Who magazine. Yeah.
And it'd be like, this person's the Doctor. And you'd be like, oh, cool. All right. And you see a few photos. There may be like an interview with them, but you would never see them really like this close to the action as what we have with Shooty, which is great. I think they've given us a great example of what he can be and what he is going to be. I loved in the third episode for the specials where he does get his own TARDIS. It's a little bit different in terms of like colouring and stuff. He's already in there changing the colours, changing the switches and things. And then once he's done, he's just like, okay, get out. Like, this is mine. See you later. I'm off to have fun. Get out of here. I thought that was really, really cool. So I'm very and I'm also excited for the companion. I think that Millie is going to do great. Like, already, like that clip from this morning they dropped, and she's like, they've got the baby. I was like, this is going to be so much fun.
The energy's so there. I'm so excited. And we should, because it's our fucking ball game. The music of these specials, Murray was very subtle He never went all out with his themes, which I was surprised, but also kind of delighted for. Yeah. Like, obviously, we would have fucking loved it if he belted all of the themes, but the little spurts of Doctor Forever and the This Is Gallifrey little motif in Wild Blue Yonder. But the best is that the 15th Doctor's theme sounds so fucking good in context. Nice. I wasn't sure at the proms when they did it. I was like, it seems a little bit messy, but when he has that moment of get out, flip, and then the theme goes, it's like, oh my god, all right.
I think it's also it's very, because I always kind of wait until we hear it in the show as well, because it's always going to sound very different coming from a live orchestra,
totally,
rather than a pre-recorded like finalized sort of mix. So and because it's also featured in that clip as well when he's on the rooftop, isn't it?
Yeah. And it sounds awesome.
Yeah, sounds great.
The one thing I'll say, and I think I felt like this with the one they played at the proms, I hope there's more to it, because it kind of sits, and I'm sorry, Milk, it kind of sits in the same place as the Batman theme for me, where I'm just waiting for it to do something else. Because the Batman theme, I think, it's missing the middle. It has the dun 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 dun, and then it has this beautiful sweeping bit, but it doesn't build to anything. It just has the dun 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 and then sweep. And this one has the dun 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 dun, dun, and I'm like, and then, and it doesn't really have that. And I hope it has more to it and not just a hook. But the hook is, every now and then I'm doing something and I think about it. It's already in my brain, like I am the Doctor. And I want to talk about the ending of this fucking episode forever, but I won't. But I loved Tennant going into his TARDIS and the Doctor Forever is playing. Like, it's got a very subtle, and then it just straight away gets into the new theme, and it's just the way that it musically passes the torch of we're moving on and the next thing's happening is so good. And it's so, like, this is why I don't care about the lore behind this. Having Tennant watch the TARDIS leave is such a fucking cool, like, when he's like, oh, I don't think I've seen it like this before. I'm like, this is cool, man. Like,
absolutely.
This is really neat.
Absolutely.
And then the ending happens. My one note of annoyance in this whole episode is, I don't know why the last thing we'll ever hear about Wilf is that he's trying to kill small animals.
Like,
it's a funny idea.
But I love that. I love that he's like, don't stress, I gave the moles a shield.
It's a very funny line.
I think, like, I very much agree that it's sometimes best not to kill off a character if they have, for some reason, even if they haven't died or passed away. Like, if they just can't come back to the character in real life. But I think, just something better than he's out shooting animals. Like, just anything else. Like, maybe it could have been, he's at unit trying to help him with something. Like,
just like I think it's, like, within context, I think we know that he's not there. And, like, we got the special moment with him. I don't know if we needed more. I don't think we needed to... I don't think we needed to say he died. I don't think they needed to say where he was. Like,
no.
They already said he doesn't live there. So it's kind of like... he's just not
because
there.
Because it literally wasn't until they had said, where is he? That I was like,
where is he? Like, I didn't need it. I was okay. No. I was very... And, I just... It felt very weird for an ongoing gag in that scene to be he's shooting a gun. I'm like, what the fuck?
And then you just hear a pop every few seconds. I was just like, okay,
all right,
cool. Sure.
But like I said on Twitter, it's very unique and special to have the Doctor that ended in such a sad place, like the Doctor that didn't want to leave, that was so emotional, to end with his Doctor being like, I'm really happy. I'm like, okay. Sure. And to have Donna as well. As much as I still don't love that they did this. I don't love that they revoked her memory loss and the emotional end that she had. It almost weighs it out with how happy and lovely this is.
For sure. I think it's also really nice that it's a happy ending with no but.
No,
Because I find that with a lot of them, it's like for example with Amy, it's like she'll get to live out her whole life, but she was hit by an angel and blah blah blah.
Well, like, that's all right then. That's the thing.
So funny. But I do think that it's good that there isn't a but, and that it is just a very simple. They live happily ever after.
Totally.
There's a TARDIS in the garden.
Yeah.
I think people across the UK cheered because there are so many people that just have a TARDIS in their garden in England.
Yeah. Tennant has one.
Really like one.
Yeah.
Wait, does he actually?
Yeah, it's a shit one. But you can see it in the background every now and then. There's a little box in the backyard. So.
Oh, that's so good. That's so
pretty
funny.
Good. Yeah.
Imagine if that was like actually his house.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Here's a real one for you to have, David."
Yeah, they canonized that David Tennant is Doctor.
Yeah,
like he just is the Doctor.
But yeah, no, it was very nice, and yeah, I think as much as because I did think that during the Star Beast, I was kind of like, well, you kind of just ruined the weight of the heartache and all that sort of stuff from series 4, but you know, given how happy they all are, I'm like, I'll let it happen.
Yeah, it's okay sometimes for happiness. It's okay to take it back to make them purely happy. I think that's okay. And yeah, it was very special. I'm intrigued to know what the future of the show is.
Yeah,
I'd love to know when a unit special spin-off is coming and where that kind of fits in the grand scheme of things. Who's involved? I really hope Martha is. I hope that's because she's the one character that didn't get a look in from the modern era across all of this. And also all of 13's companions, but we don't worry about that. Like, they all had they ended a happy life, so it wouldn't have worked in the puppet show, but it was very funny when Bill was the last one. I'm like, it's just... The other ones didn't happen, did they?
But they mentioned the flux.
They mentioned
so that's
the flux.
all right then.
Yeah, that's all right. Like, we've got to wrap. Let's nail this before an hour is up.
Yeah.
But I did think it was pretty neat how Russell brought in the flux into this as well. I thought that was a nice moment because I mean, yes and no, because I thought it was a very nice moment and it was cool that the Doctor reacted that way. It was a terrible moment because I went, "What was the flux?"
Well, I'm glad they said something about it because I forgot entirely what had happened.
Yep.
And I still don't know what happened.
Don't know what happened.
So if someone wants to let us know, feel free.
Let us know in the Discord. For all of its failures and bits and pieces we didn't like, I think we're at least in, and I don't think we're going to enter a new era hate watching and being like, no, I don't like Doctor Who anymore. I think there's an element of us that is hopeful, and I think that's very exciting.
Absolutely.
We'll probably be back for a Christmas pod, I'd say.
For sure.
And we'll tell you that it all sucks and that we'll never watch it ever again. And then we'll be back for season 1 when we've watched that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you everyone for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the Discord. I know you already have, but for everything that you disagree with us, let us know in the Discord.
Yeah.
Until the next time, I've been Will.
And I've been Sam.
By generation.
Ooh.